Well, we're back on the Plymouth Duster race car, fixing to get the motor put in this thing. We got to drag it out, put it on the other side, and see what happens. You ready to go, Logan?
Mm-hmm.
How about you? How about you, Mike?
Yeah. Jumping in there, right?
Yep, let's do it to it. Turn it hard, Logan. Turn it hard. Keep turning. Keep turning. Keep turning. Keep turning. Come on, Logan. Push him back. Feel like a race car driver? Alright, well if you are, then you aim for that hole. You're going in the shop, you got it? Right in the middle. Keep turning, keep turning, keep turning. All right, crawl out of there.
Ow!
You're a professional, there's no doubt, Logan. Beautiful. We're up here working on, as they call it, capital punishment, but we're getting the motor ready to go back in. So this is, we've got her pulled apart. We're going to put all new gaskets all on it. We're going to paint her up real pretty. Everything looks good. These are the 340X heads, which we're excited about that. I'm going back, instead of this orange, we're going to go back to the original green. Alpine green, I think is what they call it. Mopar color, which is actually the original color of the motor to begin with, instead of the Hemi orange or Chevrolet orange. So we got Mike here. He's getting it cleaned up. I'm gonna go over and sandblast the intake and the valve covers, get them ready to go back on. So that's where we're at with the little Mopar Duster race car. So we're hanging in there, ain't we, Mike?
Yeah, we are.
All right, we're getting ready to put the motor back in the capital punishment here. And this fender is what we call foobar. And so we're going to try to get all this removed out of here before we start putting the motor in. Mike's getting ready now. I'll show you what we bought this parts car. It's got a decent fender. Of course, it's been hit pretty hard. Trunk lid's good. We need a trunk lid. And so we're going to take these fenders and use them on the capital punishment. We've got a perfect grill in this thing. If anybody's out there needing a good grill, we're probably not going to use that. So just send me an email. And hood's pretty rusty. We got another fender on this side for the other one, which is dinged up, but not as bad. So let's get back in here and see if we can get this fender off. All right, before we get too far, let me check this fuel tank and see what it looks like.
You go get your styrofoam.
Yeah, but is it bad or not bad?
No, that's good.
Huh? Feel good?
Yeah. Still got fuel in it.
That's what worries me. What does it smell like?
Ready some fuel?
Oh gosh, mighty, y'all smell that? Whew, smell that. Man.
Still got ready some fuel in it. I think it's pushed through the door. Hey, they bolted it in up here. Right there.
Ah, success. do believe that thing was plum crazy purple from the beginning.
Good enough to hang on the wall.
Okay, we got that cleaned up. We got to put a seal in that. And then got this covered up with a high dollar tarp. Put this back together and then we'll be ready to set this back in the race car. You ready?
Yep.
I love this color. I know everybody goes orange, Hemi orange or Chevrolet orange, but this is a Mopar color that I growed up with, and this is what I like. So anyway, we're going to put the intake valve covers and all the seals on it. Got to put the oil pan gasket on it, make sure there ain't nothing leaking. We got the seal for the transmission, got it cleaned up, and we got a brand new torque converter sitting right there. So let's get this put together and see if we can get this thing set in there. All right, we got all the goodies on it. Got her bolted up here and wired up here. Had to go buy, can you believe, that is $45 worth of bolts. $45. For best results, place engine here. Ooh, look at that. Oh, look at that. That's nice. Nice and shiny. All right, is it gonna fit? We have tried for 2 hours to get that torque converter to go in, and it will not go in. We're going to raise the car up, go ahead and drop the transmission, stand it up on its end, and see if it slides in. So that's kind of where we're at right now. John Wilburn said, hey, it will go in. Some of them's a little aggravating. I'm not a transmission expert. I'll be the first one to tell you. I'll pull them out and put them in. Other than that, no, pretty much not. But anyway, we're going to give that a shot, see what comes up with that. And I don't know. At this point, I'm thinking sledgehammer, but John Wilburn said no sledgehammer. So that's the redneck theology. Get a bigger hammer. We went ahead and pulled the transmission out, getting ready to slide this motor down in there and just checking everything out. You can see where they put this bolt or nut on this side over here. You can see on this side. where they kick that wheel out. And we're planning on doing this thing as a street legal stock car and maybe run it through some autocross. That's gonna have to be fixed, or we're gonna have to put another one on the other side over here. But I think we're gonna straighten that out. You can see where they've cut most of the floor out, which you think would be weakening it, but they put these bars, they welded these from here all the way there, which stiffens this thing up. This thing is stiff. There's a drive shaft loop they put in it, and some other little stuff we need to clean up, like this brake line that just kind of goes whichever direction it can go. But it's all the way through. This is a positive traction rear end. Sure grip, not positive traction. I got in trouble for that. This is Mopar. This is sure grip. We got some rust right here. That's just on that pan they put in, but your seat's sitting right here. So maybe you need to fix that where the seat won't come through. But other than that, everything's pretty good shape. Like I said, they've welded that in there. That is a
That's the reason why they took the floor pans out, because if you notice, they put that in there and it would have sat right.
yeah. Well, that is stiff.
Yeah.
All right, it's gonna show you a little bit of what's going on with this. Might be more than we bit off more than we can chew, but we ain't gonna quit on it yet. Clean this thing up and get the motor in. Here's a couple more pieces. We've got to get these weights out. All these weights are on the left hand side, none on the right. It's made to go in a circle. We need to go left and right, not just circle. That's 25 pounds right there. That would be, what is that, 4.5, and I don't know what them are. But we got some race car, don't we, Mike?
Yep.
It's definitely been a part. John Wilburn said you need to cut that off, but anyway, he checked this thing, run the numbers on it. It's a 78 904, and everything looks good, so we're gonna put this back together. Okay, it won't fit. And after numerous texts back and forth with John Wilburn, the problem with the transmission is that this transmission has a lockup torque converter, which is very rare for a 78, I would think, but let me show you where we're at. The input shaft has to be changed. We're gonna have to change the input shaft so this 2500 stall converter will fit. This has got more teeth and a different input shaft than what the non-locking up torque converter is. So that's where we're at with that. But we do know it's a 78. We know a lot about the transmission now, so we're going to go ahead and see if we can change the input shaft, which is something I have never done. John said, no problem, don't worry about it, no big deal. But you got to realize he is the 904 king, so to him it'd be just like turning the light switch on. I don't mess with transmissions, but I'm fixing to try. Get my hat on where I look all sexy. We're about to wear this car out, dragging it in and out, but I reckon we have decided instead of changing the input shaft on the transmission, we're going to go out where I've got some more Mopar sitting around. It's got a 904 that we know that's good, and that the torque converter is going to fit, so we decided to do that. What do you think?
Yep.
So anyway, we've got a good transmission here that it'll take a lockup torque converter, 904, but never ending story. Y'all ain't gonna believe this. We've changed the direction again. Went out there and checked the 904, got a couple of them. Wasn't 100% sure on them. So what we decided to do is we're going with the 727 that actually come out of the truck that went on the back of the motor. We know this transmission's good. So we got a new seal in it. We got it cleaned up. And you Mopar guys, y'all, do you know what that is? You know where that come from? If you're a Mopar man, put it in the comments. You can guess what that is. Okay, the motor and transmission is in. Been a long time coming. A lot of redneck ingenuity going on, changing stuff around, but this is what we come up with. There she sits, bolted in and ready to go. We went with the 727 transmission, but we've got all our bolts and all that, as far as that goes. Now all we got to do is get her wired up, get all the fan. We got to get the radiator put in it, run the cooling lines for the transmission, figure out the wiring. Show you what we got over here. This is the wiring harness that come with the car, so we've got to figure what, when, and where goes with that. We got two control modules. One looks better than the other one, but we got to get that wired up. And then here is a soft touch MSD box. We got to get that figured out. And then we're going to have to work on the front end. As you can see, this has got a bolt. They put bolts in here to kick that wheel out for circle track. If you notice, the wheel's out. Not sure what this is. They got a bunch of bolts or washers in here done on this side, but like I say, we're not going to be running circle track. We're going to be try to autocross this thing, is what we got on our mind. And of course, we're going to have wheels and all that good stuff. And after we get all that, we get to get the front end back on it and beat a couple of dents out of it and take it to the track. So tune in next time and we will do an update on the rest of the stuff going on, but we do got the motor transmission in it. And it's been a long time coming. We had struggled with the transmission, so we decided to go with the 727. We know this is a good transmission. I know John Wilburn's going to say 904, 904, but we're just trying to get it running, and after we get it going and seeing what we got, then we can do some upgrades on it. But we want to make sure that this ain't something we want to give up on before we get started real good in it. But so far, it's looking pretty daggum good.
Yeah, it is. Getting the old girl back together.
Except for Mike, he keeps putting the bolts and nuts where we can't find them.
Well, that wasn't my fault.
Well, you never put the bolts back where they go.
I had them in a bag.